No sin goes unpunished in this life. Your life doesn't flash before your eyes when you're dying. That's bullshit. Everything you failed to be, everyone you let down, everything you'd go back and change. If only you had more time.
The movie opens with Jimmy Conlon, the gravedigger, an ex-Irish mob haunted by his past who has become an angry drunk. He meets Danny, Shawn Maguire's son, to borrow money. Arriving at Danny's place, Jimmy sees two corrupt cops in Danny's room who are taking bribes from him. Danny and his father often do this to smooth out their illegal activities. When Jimmy meets Danny, he seems unhappy with Jimmy's presence, who always borrows money from his father after retiring. Danny refuses to lend him money unless he wants to do something for him. He asks Jimmy to be Santa Claus at his house's Christmas celebration. Because he really needs money, Jimmy is forced to comply with Danny's request. Jimmy's son, Michael, a chauffeur and retired professional boxer who mentors at-risk kids at the local gym, has a friendly relationship with an orphan boy named Curtis.
Oh, shit, yo!
Gonna find out real soon how fast it can all slip away.
After that, Danny meets his father, Shawn, with the Albanian gangsters to discuss heroin sales, where Shawn, Jimmy's old boss and closest friend, flatly refuses the gangsters' offer to allow the sale of Albanian heroin in Shawn's territory. The Albanian criminal offers Shawn seductive money, but he still refuses.
You'll realize the mistake you're making.
The answer's no.
Take this shit with you.
Disappointed by Shawn's refusal, the Albanian gangsters demand Danny return the money they paid him to arrange a meeting and negotiate with Shawn. Since the amount of money is not small, they give Danny until tomorrow and threaten to kill him if Danny doesn't return their money. When the Albanian gangsters have left, Danny returns to his father and gets into a heated argument because his father is adamant that he will not accept the gangsters' offer. Michael prepares to leave, but his wife, Gabriella, is a little upset that he is not with the family tonight.
I'm sorry.
Better be.
I won't have to see him for another 5 years.
On the other hand, Jimmy is so drunk that he can't play Santa Claus correctly, and he says rude things to Frank's wife, which leads to an argument. Frank is another one of Shawn's people.
You want to tell me what's going on? We did what we did because we had to.
Got no one left in my life because of the things I've done.
Wherever we're going, when we cross that line.
Michael gets a job taking two clients to a place where the client is the same Albanian gangster who had previously met Danny at Shawn's house. The Albanian gangsters ask Mike to take them to Danny's place. Turns out they had changed their mind and were going to collect the money tonight from Danny. Detective John Harding, who knows Jimmy from the past, meets him in the restaurant. He could never have any evidence against him. Still, he accuses Jimmy of multiple murders and sarcastically asks him to reveal the list of names he killed. Jimmy prefers to remain silent.
When they get so bad you can't look at yourself in the mirror no more, you give me a call.
Arriving at Danny's place, the Albanian gangsters are enraged when his friend taunts them by giving them a pile of fake money before a gunfight breaks out. Outside, Curtis sees Mike on the street and begs him to let him get into the limo. Inside the house, as soon as the Albanian gangster threatens Danny, he pulls out his gun and shoots. He manages to kill one of them. Seeing his comrade dead, the man tries to run out of the house, but Danny chases after him and shoots the man outside the house, killing him. The incident was witnessed by Mike, who was waiting in his car, and Curtis, who accidentally recorded the shooting with his cell phone camera. Danny takes Mike to his house and intends to kill him there. Still, Mike immediately puts up a fight and finally manages to escape. Danny and his friend then chase after Mike, but he manages to escape by jumping over the fence. However, Danny steals Mike's wallet and gets his identity and home address. When he got home, Mike immediately called his wife, who was at his brother-in-law's house. He asked his wife to stay there and not go home for a while for their safety. After learning about this conflict from Shawn and knowing that Mike is in trouble with Danny, Jimmy goes to his son's house where he asked Mike, on Shawn's orders, not to report the murder Danny committed last night to the police. Mike has not allowed his father into his house because he still hates him. Still, Jimmy forces his way into Mike's house and tries to convince his son to obey Shawn's orders for the safety of both of them and Mike's family because Jimmy doesn't want them all killed. However, Mike still refuses and wants to report Danny to the police.
Bye, Michael.
Bye, Jimmy.
When Jimmy is about to go home, he sees Danny's car parked not far away. So Jimmy rushes back to Mike's house and finds that Danny has pointed a gun at Mike and is about to kill his son. Without thinking, Jimmy immediately shoots Danny, killing him. Jimmy then calls Shawn to tell him about Danny's death, where Jimmy honestly says that he had to kill Danny because Danny was about to kill his son. Hearing this, Shawn got furious and demanded that life be paid for life, in which he vowed to kill Mike. On the other hand, Mike panicked and then grabbed the phone to call the police, but Jimmy prevented it because it would only make the situation worse. Mike, who is annoyed at his father's reckless action that killed someone, then kicks Jimmy out of his house. Mike then called the police and reported that his father had just killed a man at his house. The report was intercepted by Shawn, who then sent his henchmen to visit Mike's residence. Shawn sends 2 corrupt cops to catch Mike and kill him. The 2 corrupt cops then corner Mike and arrest him on murder charges. On the other hand, Jimmy, watching the situation outside Mike's house, sees his son being led away by them he met while visiting Danny's office. When Jimmy realizes they will kill the mask, he chases them in the middle of the highway. He pressures them until eventually the police car loses control and crashes. Jimmy rushes to save Mike, who is handcuffed in the back seat, and shoots one of the corrupt police officers, killing him and immediately taking Mike away from there.
Son. We gotta move.
On the other hand, Shawn also sends his henchmen, led by Frank, to kill Mike. Frank and his men track Jimmy and Mike's whereabouts after the collision and learn they went to the station. However, Jimmy managed to finish them all off.
Entrance clear.
Jimmy.
Shawn then orders his right-hand man to clean up the mess at Danny's house, using Mike as a criminal. He also gives orders to put the bodies of the Albanian gangsters into Mike's car so that Mike becomes the prime suspect in the murder and mobilizes all his men to find Jimmy and Mike all over the town.
Listen to your father for one night. If I can't figure this out by the morning, I'll walk myself into the precinct and tell him I blew those 2 officers away. One night, and you never have to see me again.
Elsewhere, Mike's wife, Gabrielle, watches a live TV broadcast about Mike and Jimmy being suspects in a murder case and now wanted by the police. Jimmy then asks Mike to return with his family and stay hidden until he contacts him. He then contacts Detective Harding, who claims Mike shot a cop, while Jimmy admits he was the one who killed the cop. Harding tells Jimmy that eyewitnesses claim that Mike was the shooter, but Jimmy rejects it.
I killed that cop, not Michael.
Jimmy then makes a deal with Harding, in which he will prove Mike's innocence and turn himself in with a list of all the people he had killed in his Mafia career. Jimmy then meets Shawn in a restaurant and apologizes to him. He begs Shawn not to involve Mike in their problem, but Shawn refuses because Jimmy has killed his son, so Shawn has the right to demand justice. Jimmy tells Shawn that Danny was going to kill Mike and threatens to talk to the police about Shawn's past crimes. Shawn, who is not afraid of Jimmy's threats, then says that the police don't care about the information Jimmy has about him. He threatens Jimmy to kill Mike and his family in revenge, then says to let Jimmy die after seeing that his son is killed. After escaping from Shawn's henchmen, he goes to Mike, who sends his family to a secluded cabin for their safety. Jimmy and Mike rush to Curtis's apartment to take video footage of the Albanian gangster shooting carried out by Danny to prove that he is not the murderer, as reported by the media. Elsewhere, after seeing his son's body, Shawn orders a professional assassin named Andrew Price to kill Jimmy and Mike before the police arrest them. When Jimmy and Mike visit Curtis's apartment building, one of the residents sees them and recognizes them, knowing they are fugitives. Hence, the woman immediately reports their whereabouts to the cops. Not long after, the police arrived to evacuate the apartment's occupants to a safe place. Price, who was also there, turned off the electricity in the building. Jimmy and Mike then take the opportunity to mingle with the apartment residents being evacuated. Even so, Price can see where Jimmy and Mike are in the dark through the night vision camera and shoots them. Jimmy knows he is a professional killer, so he asks his son to run away, but after a while, Mike decides to go back and help his father, who is involved in a fight with him.
Don't do it, Michael. Don't do it! Let's go! Conlon! Stay there, Conlon! Hey! Jesus! Come back up. Come on.
Jimmy and Mike managed to escape from the police and rushed away. After that, Jimmy and Mike went to Jimmy's brother's house, named Eddie. An angry Eddie tells Mike that Jimmy is only loyal to Shawn and reveals that Jimmy was the one who had killed his own cousin to prevent the man from testifying against Shawn, and warns Mike that he would do the same to him. Hearing this, Mike felt disgusted and disappointed in his father. He did not want to trust his father anymore, so he left him and returned to his family. Looking for a way to end the blood feud, Jimmy then calls Shawn and again asks him to stop targeting Mike and his family and threatens to kill Shawn if he persists in killing his son. However, Shawn ignores Jimmy's threat and immediately hangs up. Jimmy is already in front of Shawn's hideout and ready to kill him. Jimmy manages to slaughter Shawn's henchmen and eventually kills Shawn after a long chase, ending their feud.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. Come on, Shawn.
At the same time, Curtis goes to the police station and finds Detective Harding handing over the video of Danny's murder of the Albanian gangster. Harding checks the shells on Danny's gun to confirm the video. Meanwhile, Mike calls Detective Harding to tell him his location. Not long after, Jimmy comes to see Mike and his family and says that Shawn is dead and everything is over, so Mike and his family can finally live in peace. Mike seems relieved to hear all that and finally introduces Jimmy to his granddaughters and meets them for the first time. While Jimmy enjoys seeing that the family is at peace, Price, who is apparently still alive, suddenly appears and attacks the cabin, fatally shoots Jimmy, and then hunts down Mike and his family. Jimmy gets shot by him, falls on the ground, and Mike is briefly cornered by Price. But Jimmy manages to kill Price just before he shoots Mike. The police finally arrive at the scene, where Detective Harding informs him that he has received video footage of the Albanian gangster murders, proving that Mike is not the culprit, thus acquitting Mike of all charges. Detective Harding said this to Mike and Jimmy just before Jimmy finally breathed his last while holding his list of past victims for Harding as promised. Although their relationship was not close, Mike seemed so sad and devastated when his father died because at the end of his life, his father sacrificed everything to save him and his family. In the epilogue, Mike returns to work as a boxing coach and driver and lives happily with his wife and 2 daughters. Mike looks sad at the photo of himself with his father before leaving for work.